This session, of course, is of great interest to Coimbatore, the city that we are currently holding this conference on. It is in many senses, could be the future city. It is a very ambitious session that we're looking at, whether we can reimagine Coimbatore and make it India's new business powerhouse. Now, in terms of two-tier cities, Coimbatore is among one of the country's fastest growing cities, though you have other metros, I'm sorry to say, that overtake you. But there is ambition in Coimbatore to see whether it has the kind of infrastructure, the professionalism and entrepreneurship, and the organization, plus, of course, the wherewithal in terms of professional workers and others to build it into a city that could not only rival Chennai, but every other major city in it. So it's a city of the future, and let's discuss that. We have three very interesting panelists, specialists in their own areas, and I'd like to introduce from left to right, with no particular order in terms of things. In Thirukkumaran, General Secretary, Tirupur Exporters Association, and Chairman, S3 Exports India. Mithun Ramdas, President, South India Engineering Manufacturers, and Charles Martin, Managing Director of the Martin Group, that has a wide array of businesses. You have an engineering firm yourself, and I'm going to get you to answer the first question, which is actually looking at a larger picture. On one side, you have the Trump tariffs coming in, may not have affected the engineering sector as much as it has affected yours, but also there is a global order changing. And unless Coimbatore gets onto that belt of the supply chain and begins to change the way they do business, it becomes difficult for any city in India, leave alone Coimbatore. So where do you think the emphasis should come when we look at engineering goods? What are the kind of changes you need to network with the global supply chains, as well as the changes you want in Coimbatore, you see?
First, I'd like to list out what advantages Coimbatore as a city has. Coimbatore is well placed, has among the lowest calamities possible, surrounded by hills on all sides, has access
beautiful place, yes,
access to Kerala on one side, and very well connected to the rest of Tamil Nadu. It is the second highest, or rather second biggest manufacturing hub after Chennai and its suburbs. So now when you look at Coimbatore from the global perspective, whether these tariffs have hit Coimbatore, yes, it has. How much has it hit? I cannot quantify right now, but it has definitely hit us. We will probably know the impact in another 1 or 2 months as the supply chain wears out with the old taxes. But what I would like to emphasize here, or talk about here rather, is Coimbatore being the manufacturing hub that it is, has always been an entrepreneurial city. It has always been driven by entrepreneurship, self-developed entrepreneurs with probably no formal education. That's the kind of background or the fabric in which Coimbatore was developed. Not much political help was available in the initial years. All the founding fathers, when I say founding fathers, I mean the founders of the various companies, associations like SEMA and Kodisha, etc., played a very large role in creating the city that it is. So when the city started growing, it created an ecosystem for itself within the city, right? Whether it is for pumps, whether it is for pumps, or whether it is for textiles, or whether it is for auto components. We built, the founders built an ecosystem within Coimbatore, and were very happy with it. And as the city grew, as the businesses grew, the ecosystem grew with it. Now, what do we need? What does Coimbatore need to do right now in order to rise up to the challenge when the whole world is looking at China +1? China is by and large viewed in a negative angle geopolitically, not only inside India, even outside India. China is viewed negatively because of its, you can say they're not very dependable in terms of pricing, in terms of quality, you know, in all these aspects. India is seen with a remarkably better angle in terms of affordability, in terms of quality and trust and all these. So we do have the opportunity to build on these platforms, but we have to reimagine the whole thing. We have to reimagine the economies of scale.
Right.
If we do that, I'm sure we'll be able to get there.
No, it's a good way to segue into you, Thirukkumaran. Given the fact that Tirupur is among the worst affected by the Trump tariffs in terms of the apparel industry, and that Coimbatore is a textile hub. Of course, you'd like to talk about Tirupur separately from Coimbatore, but since it does feed on into a lot into Coimbatore, what are the kind of challenges you all face, and what exactly would you like the government to do now?
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I'd like to add what Mr. Mithun said. We, Tirupur or Coimbatore, we complement each other. It's almost a twin city. It's not big, even though we are separated by 50 kilometers.
You don't want to make it greater Coimbatore?
We want to be, but of course we have to accept that Coimbatore has several industries to catch on where we are only on textiles. So, short brief on Tirupur. We are a very fast growing city, doing a 75,000 crore business, out of which 30,000 crores is domestic and 45,000 crores of exports, out of which 15,000 crores is to US. 35% of our exports is to US. Of course, yes, I would definitely agree that we are hit by the Trump tariff, the US tariff. But we are resilient. We are resilient, and we know we have seen many challenges, even the COVID, like the COVID one, and then the Ukraine-Russian conflict, where the West had an inflation, because whatever reaction in the West affects us. So we have the challenges, but now what the problem is, we need a fiscal support from the government, because short term, to overcome the short term, not to lose the business, we need a fiscal handholding from the government, which we have already requested both the center and the states.
Now, one of the things is, you have a black swan event, right? You knew this was coming. Do you feel that the government actually could have done things beforehand and averted, we have in the latest issue of Tribune, we have an apparel manufacturer says you would have to lose 7,000 staff and shut down within a month. So it's not like you could drag this crisis differently.
I don't agree with that. The government has done its best, because core interests of our country cannot be let down for some industries, even though I am one of the largest affected industry. But we have a confidence. Still, we can come to an agreement with the US, because US also needs us. It's not that we need US also needs us. But in terms of job losses in Tirupur, we always take care of our workers. Our workers are our prime principle of our business. So definitely, as of now, there is no job losses in Tirupur. We are still trying to negotiate the discounts, take the loss on our side, rather than laying off or doing then in the rest of the country. We are not having any job losses at the moment.
Well, it's a tough time for you all, and sympathies lie with it. And I know you have to give a certain diplomatic answer, because you still have to keep your businesses going, as India has to do with the US. But let me come to Jose Charles Martin. And you've got such a varied group. The Martin Group has interests across something like 10 sectors. And how do you see Coimbatore as a future destination for your growth and development, as well as Coimbatore's growth?
Yes, Coimbatore has always been supportive for entrepreneurs, and
you were born here in Coimbatore. You were born here.
Yes,
you belong
yes,
to.
I was born in Coimbatore. I went to SVOA school and then Good Shepherd, and yeah. So Coimbatore has always been pioneers in motivating, supporting the innovators ecosystem. And if you take G.D. Naidu sir, so they were pioneers. He was called Edison of India. They have brought in many innovative products to the market. And overall, Coimbatore, the ecosystem, the weather, the water, the people, the educated students, So you have that ecosystem. Even I was with WinFast CEO, and they were in process of finalizing which state or we would like to come and invest. So they went to Maharashtra, they went to Gujarat, and then they shortlisted Tamil Nadu just because we have this ecosystem. We have the auto manufacturing, the components, including Coimbatore, we are really good in components manufacturing. So because of the ecosystem, they were forced and willingly wanted to come and invest in Tamil Nadu.
Right. What specifically have you invested in Tamil Nadu and your experience in dealing with some of the issues that are your own investments that you're planning in the next couple of years, and where would you like to focus on?
Yes, I'm really keen in creating satellite cities. So future is all about creating an ecosystem. You have to create cities where the housing, hospitals, your industries, schools, everything is in one campus. So people don't have to drive to another location. This is one. Another thing I feel is we are really not focusing on railways, which is one of the low-cost transportation available to us. Rather than we thinking of expanding the airlines and other things, if we can really focus on expanding the goods, expanding the railway tracks, it really help our economy in the long run. And we don't have to be dependent on oil and other imports.
Okay, good point. And I think we can take it from you, Mithun Ramesh, that take a look at the small scale, micro, small scale and medium industries that Coimbatore specializes in. What's preventing them from scaling up? If you had to advise and say, these are the 3 or 4 things, what would they be?
It's a very good question. That's something that we've been trying to address for a long time. As I said, Coimbatore has predominantly been an MSME-driven economy started by entrepreneurs, very unassuming entrepreneurs, right? So being an owner-driven company has its own pluses and minuses. More pluses than minuses, but for example, whatever catastrophe comes, whatever, whether COVID hits, whether you, whatever the calamities that can happen, an entrepreneur, an owner-driven company, an owner is out there to save himself, to save the company, come what may. He's there to provide for the family, he's there to provide for the employees. But the restriction, or the limitation rather, is that he knows only what's happening within the 4 walls of his company. Doesn't really have too much of exposure. At least this was the case till a few years back. Now the new generation is coming in. They're all well educated, have good exposure abroad. They're consuming knowledge like at such a rapid pace that it has not been seen before. So this definitive shift in mindset has come in. A lot of government policies are supportive as well. We continuously try to engage with a lot of companies that have grown from MSME to large corporates, try to learn from them. But yeah, if you have to put at one particular answer, it would be probably just exposure and knowledge. And I think we are definitely coming out of it now.
Okay, coming to you. When you take a look at Tirupur, it's got one of the largest migrant population that's coming in, estimated to be 8.1 million people or something to that number. And how are you reskilling, retraining them? What is the focus that you've done on that, given the fact that he says the intent is there, but you really need to have the wherewithal?
No, good question. Every factory or every company in Tirupur has a separate skilling division. So once a new recruit is done, he is skilled for whatever job he is assigned to, like tailoring, checking, ironing, whatever is first given a basic skill in the training center. Then he is put online and given an upskilling. And also what happens is a lot of automation, investment on automation is happening. For example, a lot of operations you can automate. And also like Internet of the things, like IoT, it's called IoT system, install on the sewing machines to to monitor the real-time efficiency and educate the operator, and also give a lot of incentivize them for achieving an efficiency. So these are upskilling things we do in the industry at the moment.
I'm going to come back to you on some of the upskilling, particularly Mithun Ramdas. But coming to you, Jose. If you take a look at some of the businesses that you are, construction, hospitality, infrastructure, what can the central government do to ease business and make it easier for doing business here? And what would you want the state to do in terms of that?
State and central government, I would request if there could be a department where they can measure or give license or give approvals based on demand and supply. So, for example, one point of time, we had 8 to 10 hotels in Coimbatore, which was oversupplied, including where we are sitting today. So what happens, your resources get stuck in one place. For example, let's assume to build a hotel like this will cost around 150 to 200 crores. So you're locking your potential finance, cash flow into a lot of projects like this. If we can have a department where you value by demand and supply, if there is a demand for building a hotel here, and if we can give permissions based on that, that will be more useful for us.
Okay. Coming to you, Mithun Ramdas, if you take a look at Coimbatore, traditionally it's been known for its pumps and motors. My brother also, I think, used to make pumps here, if I remember right, in terms of water pumps. How is it gearing to shift towards renewable energy, and electric mobility? Is that an area that Coimbatore needs to move rapidly towards, because that's the future?
Coimbatore has been a pump and motor district, no doubt. The first motor of India was manufactured in Coimbatore. There was a point of time till probably a couple of decades back where we held 80% market share of India's consumption, probably about 2-3 decades behind. But of course, the market has grown, so has competition, so has other states. So we still remain a major force with about 40-50% market share. Now, what are the areas that Coimbatore should foray into? Among the different product lines that we wanted definitely was EV motors. We were among the first in the country, as soon as the Honorable Prime Minister announced the vision of moving towards EV vehicles, Coimbatore was among the first cities to express interest to build a cluster in Coimbatore. So we approached the central government, we approached the state government, and we were pleasantly surprised by how much of help we got. Particularly the state government, they helped us with a common facility center. So most of our resources and energies needed to go into the product development rather than testing. So a common facility center was provided by the government of Tamil Nadu for testing. So if such help is given, some support, encouragement is given in this way in terms of R&D, etc., we can still do a much bigger business. But for now, yes, we are there, and we are there big. Okay.
I'm going to ask the environment question from you in a different way. You have the ESG program that Tirupur does, and both in terms of the fact that it's one of the few clusters in the world that actually does the ESG or environment, society and governance norms that are there. How does this give a competitive advantage? Because the garment market was always seen as, in terms of child labor and all the criticism that came. The changes that is made, and how competitive is Tirupur now when you look at the international scene? You have Vietnam, you have Bangladesh, you have got other countries that are also doing the same things, right?
I just like to correct you. It's the only cluster in the world which is ESG compliant. There is no other cluster in the world where they can be individual companies, not as a cluster. So I'll tell you what we do. We recycle around 130 million liters of water every day. and 96% is reuse. That is almost 50% of Tamil Nadu's domestic consumption every day. So the groundwater is not depleted. We produce around 1,950 megawatts of renewable energy, both by solar and wind, and we only consume 350. Rest is given to the Tamil Nadu grid. We have distilled around 12 lakes, out of which one lake is named as the 17th bird sanctuary of Tamil Nadu, which is called the Nanjurayan Lake. Imagine a lake in the heart of the industrial town. And again, giving back to the society is within the Congo belt. It's within all the business entrepreneurs. We have built a lot of hospitals, schools, adapted a lot of schools. So anything what you call about ESG, Tirupur is number one.
Do you recycle garments, for instance? I know a lot of people, which has become somewhat of a fashion internationally, where to use recycled garments for various things. Yeah.
Add to that, see, DPP, Digital Product Passport. Why I forgot to answer your previous question, where we'll have a competitive edge. See, Digital Product Passport is going to be a norm in the near future in Europe, especially in Europe. So where there your complete circularity is measured. So what we have done, Tirupur Exporters Association, is recycling all the textile waste what we have. We have signed with the MOU with a company called Reverse Resources, which is identified by the Government of India, Ministry of Textiles, and where all our textile waste is handled by an authorized waste handler and then sent to an authorized recycler and comes back to the chain. So this much of thing we are doing in Tirupur. It's up to we are just waiting. See, we are ready for the digital product passport. We are waiting for the European Commission to lay down the norms and also identify the certifying agencies.
Okay, I'm going to switch topics for you, Jose, and you ended your last conversation with talking about railways. Take a look at urban mobility, and where do you see this? For instance, do you see air taxis becoming a norm in some places, smart e-bike solutions on Indian roads? Where do you see transport and mobility go in India?
Yes, there are huge scope in mobility, particularly in air taxi. Whereas I was part of the startup Tamil Nadu, that is Startup Singam, where a lot of startups have come up where in US if air taxi cost to build around 1 million, that is like 10 crores plus or minus. In India or in Tamil Nadu, they are trying to manufacture is at 2 crores. So the cost of production of air taxi is getting low. That is one, which when it happens in India because of our innovation and cost. Again, when you talk about public transport, we are actually lagging back when it comes to Coimbatore. By now we should have had metros, metro rails, monorails, whatever you have. These are actually helps the city grow in overall development.
Okay, I'm going to have a final round of questions, but we'll start with you, Mithun. Looking at Industry 4.0, the entire automation process that is going to happen, and where do you see the kind of impact it will have in Coimbatore, and how can Coimbatore keep up with this huge change that is coming, including in digital, AI, everything else that moves with it?
See, among the challenges that I had mentioned earlier was also our inability to adapt to these new changes in terms of Industry 4.0 and various other technologies. Now, both the central government and state government are very, very insistent on bringing lean manufacturing as a concept. They are funding us. They are giving us good amount of subsidy to adopt to these practices. Now, where India, India also, Coimbatore and on a larger picture, India, where we lose out to the other countries, or rather where is the opportunity that we can improve on. Our spend on R&D is roughly at about 0.6-0.7% of GDP in India.
Less, I would gather, but you're being very optimistic. Far less, when you break up that, government is the maximum, private is this much.
Yes.
So
the breakup of that is 65% of it is by the government and 35% is by the private sector.
Private sector, yes.
But whereas you look at United States, China, they're at around 4%, 2.5 to 3% of GDP, 75% from the private sector and the balance only from the government.
Right.
But emerging countries like South Korea are at 4.5%, 5% spend for R&D on GDP. Now, if we don't wake up and invest in R&D and don't adopt to new technologies, new products, I think that we are going to miss out on a big opportunity. We have already missed the bus once. I think we should not miss the bus this time. It is time to wake up and invest in R&D.
Good. A wake-up call that needs to be done. Let's turn to Tirupur. Are you integrating automation and digital tools into the manufacturing process? How does it compare with the rest of the world?
Yeah, as you said, most of the companies here are MSMEs. It took a little time. Now we are ready. Actually, we are ready. We have already invested in a lot of automation, like automating sewing operations. Then also upgrading your processing sector. Like we are also focusing on man-made fibers, which is 60% of world's consumption, and also like digitizing your sewing operations efficiency, how you can measure and upskill keep on training the operators. So again, there is always a supply demand issue because when there is a lot of work, we are growing at a 15% CAGR every year, and we are taking a target of 1 lakh crore by 2030. So there will always be a supply demand, and we have to address that. That is one thing, is automate your complete sewing operations and also try to upskill your current workforce.
Jose, where do you see Industry 4.0, the whole automation thrust, digital tools? How are you doing it in your industry, and what does Coimbatore need to do?
We have to really focus on AI. We cannot miss the bus, as my friend rightly told. AI is very important. As we are building IT parks, we need to plan for AI parks as early as possible. And we have to have innovation center, incubation centers, and where we support the startups, help the nurturing innovators, and support them in a big way.
Okay, we've got 2 minutes. That's 30 seconds each. And what I want you to do is one or two big things that you want Coimbatore to do immediately and urgently. Start with Mithun, if you'd like to start. One or two big things that you would like Coimbatore to do urgently if it has to become the city of the future.
For Coimbatore alone?
Yes, yes. Since we're discussing Coimbatore.
Coimbatore needs to address its labor force problems. We have to address our infrastructure problems, which is the roads and the rail networks. We have to address availability of quality but affordable raw material, which is increasingly becoming a challenge in Coimbatore as far as the engineering sector is concerned. These three I feel are the most important right now.
Thiru?
For us, man-made fibers, technology on man-made fibers, which India is lagging, processing, especially processing. A lot of emphasis has to be given to that. And we are also, I think, Tamil Nadu government has come up with a special scheme for helping incentivizing the processing sector. So also like automation on sewing operations. If Tamil Nadu government comes or central government comes with a scheme, I think then we can grow very fast.
Okay, Jose, the city of your birth. What would you want? Two things.
I feel we need more of smart city planning, where for example, your connectivities are easier, your public transports are easy, and your connectivity is easy because traffics are becoming a huge problem now, and including your IT and everything else.
Well, we are 30 seconds away, and this is time to say thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give Thirukkumaran, Mithun Ramdas and Jose Charles Martin a very, very warm round of applause. for this very incisive session on Coimbatore. Thank you very much.